Okay, class. The other day I made a video explaining the difference between nasal versus nasalized sounds. And I want to give you an example of how this impacts Mandarin speakers as they try to say fairly common English words like this. The problem we're going to have here is that this v sound needs your tongue in the front. You have to have a nice flat tongue between your teeth, not being bitten, relaxed, and have that voicing to it. And your brain will often find this a little intimidating. So you need to make the first part of this in a way that is going to feel much more comfortable. And so most people will end up doing something like this. And you'll get a lot of ma there. And again, there's that nasalized form, right? You'll get something like this, I guess. But the problem is, as soon as you do this nasalizing, you have pulled your tongue back to block the air in the nasal passage, right? Which makes this much more difficult to say. Also, because you have just nasalized in a typical Taiwanese way, you have raised your tongue, which means you're now in the Taiwanese Mandarin basis of articulation, and so doing in the retroflex way is going to be extraordinarily difficult. So you have just made two really difficult sounds because instead of doing a very simple English ma, you have done a more Taiwanese Mandarin ma, and the rest of your pronunciation will be affected. What you'll find many times is that the first Mandarin sound you make, and I'll talk about this in a video on the basis of articulation, but what you'll find is as soon as you make one Mandarin sound, you will continue making more Mandarin or English approximated in a Mandarin way all the way through the rest of the sentence, unless you specifically have things that you watch for, things that you really focus on to pull yourself back into a more English basis of articulation. As long as we're talking about mother, let's talk about this one. I mentioned this in the nasal versus nasalizing video. Just to remind everyone, this is going to be an ah, not the right? This one's this one's ah. But what most people will often do is forget this entirely. If you're lucky, you will actually close your lips, but many people do not. What many people will do is more like ma, and the mouth will never close. So this is going to be more like a nasalized ah. And again, you have pulled your tongue back. Whatever is in the rest of the sentence will be shifted into a more Mandarin basis of articulation, and the rest of your pronunciation will be impacted. So this is one of the reasons, this kind of thing, is why the practice that I gave you in the nasal versus nasalizing video is really, really important. You have to make sure that you do not drop into the Mandarin habits because they will not just affect that word, but all of the words and sounds after that point. Okay, that's it.